Some businesses in South Korea are coming under fire for allegedly poking fun of penis size. That's all coming up right now. What's up, guys? Fuge from Fuge TV here. As you notice, I have a new setup here, which is why I felt I had to do that singing introduction, but do not worry, I will never do that ever again. Right to today's topic, what we're talking about today is how some businesses in South Korea are currently under fire for allegedly poking fun of penis size. Yes, that's right, I said it, penis size. Now, before we jump into this, I kind of have to give some background information about what exactly is going on here. And it all starts back in about 2015 with a feminist group called Megalia. Megalia was a radical feminist online community based in South Korea, and I say was because it is now defunct and shut down. It was launched in 2015 to protest the language policy of the South Korean internet forum DC Inside, which some users deemed discriminatory against women. For those of you that don't know, DC Inside and another website called ilbe are similar to the Korean versions of 4chan. By the way, this information is currently located on Wikipedia if any of you guys want to check it out for yourselves. So in the spring of 2015, South Korean internet forum DC Inside started the MERS Gallery as a forum for sharing information on the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome outbreak, which was a big SARS-like outbreak that occurred in Korea in 2015. Luckily, I was not there for that because apparently that was, although people didn't react to it the same way as people are reacting to COVID now, apparently the MERS disease or illness is a lot worse than COVID actually is. Anyway, continuing on. When a false rumor spread that two women had contracted MERS, refused quarantine, and instead went on a shopping trip to Hong Kong, it prompted bashing in the forum. These supposed healthcare violators were derogated with the term kimchi woman, aka kimchi nya in Korean, which is a misogynistic term for women who only have shopping on their minds. It is not a good term to be called. As this continued, an influx of feminist users started using reactionary terms, coining kimchi man, kimchi nam, a reclaimed term which mocks Korean men. Quite original. DC Inside intervened by instituting a policy which forbade usage of kimchi man. A portion of its users regarded the measure as discriminatory and found these rules constraining and moved to other forums at DC Inside, eventually launching their own website, Megalia. Now this is interesting, I just learned this while making this video. The name Megalia is a portmanteau that means two words being put together, a portmanteau of MERS Gallery and Egalia's Daughters, a feminist novel by Gerd Brattenberg. And I think it's kind of cool how some of the feminists here, they actually respect a lot of old school feminists. In this case, they're referencing Gerd Brattenberg, who I have no idea who that is. I know that there's a cafe in Seoul called Wolf Cafe, which is based on the feminist Virginia Woolf. And at least I haven't heard of any of the Western feminists talking about anything like this. Maybe the old school feminists did, but the new age people, I don't know if they're really well educated on this type of stuff. So I found that quite interesting that in Korea, a lot of these Western feminists are kind of popular, or at least idolized and used and influenced in the world of feminism in Korea. Now, originally, Megalia claimed it was a feminist website intended to promote women's rights and remove misogyny widespread in Korean society. Megalia began a movement to halt the porn-sharing site Soranet, which if you don't know what that is, you could check out the Nth Room videos where we kind of cover Soranet. That was kind of the beginnings of what eventually turned into Nth Room, where people that were very big Soranet supporters were usually people that either ran the Nth Room or were members, paid members of the Nth Room. You could check that out whenever you have time. So Megalia's movement was to stop the porn sharing site Soranet from distributing non-consensual, secretly photographed video content, and at that time had made a petition and really fought to get Soranet shut down, which it actually did eventually get shut down, Soranet. However, Megalia was also involved in a lot of controversies themselves. Megalia is widely perceived as a radical feminist community which continuously mirrors the misogynistic language deployed in male-dominated forms like ilbe. As I mentioned earlier, ilbe is kind of like a Korean 4chan, or maybe, red pill communities, men's rights communities that kind of, I don't think everything. I think red pill inherently is good. However, I think a lot of people in the red pill community are very toxic and they actually are misogynistic. So think of Ilbe as kind of like those kind of like male dominated communities where a lot of things sexist can pop up. Not that that's the only thing on those websites, but yeah, you get what I'm talking about. Online critics claim Megalian's mirroring tactic is hateful and misandrous. To supporters, they are reclaiming a male-centered language that threatens and discriminates against women. Probably a little bit over-exaggerating on that. Many, including feminists, say Megalian's tactics are unproductive and divisive. Some Megalia posters outed gay men who are married to women. So this is when people started. I think this is the main reason why it might be considered, radical feminists, is because if you create a website and you're gathering, you're talking about feminist issues and misogyny in Korea, whatever. But when you start doing things like outing gay men, and for those of you that don't know, being gay in South Korea is still a very serious thing. In the West now, I'm sure there are still people that are kind of worried about coming out of the closet. But if you're from a big city, New York, Los Angeles, especially, Portland or Seattle, in these cities, being gay is practically celebrated now. However, in South Korea, it is still very heavily scrutinized, and a lot of people want to protect the fact that they are gay, so they're coming out and outing gay men. On October 17, 2015, a kindergarten teacher anonymously uploaded a post declaring their desire to have sexual intercourse with a jorini, which is a Megalia derogatory term for a male child. The poster, referred to as Miss A, later addressed this, and while she was admitting the gravity of her statement, explained that she was merely trying to bring awareness to the fact that male-dominated boards such as Ilbe routinely discuss sexual desires for underage girls, referred to as loli or Loita girl, which is, big in Japanese culture about all of those kind of mangas that have these very underage girls. Users of Megalia have posted gory images of men whose genitalia have been severed or severely damaged and publicized explicit photos without consent. Ugh. So as you can see, this is not a lovely community of people coming together wanting to make change through peaceful protest or through, community outreach. This is mirroring of the toxic behavior that is found on DC Insider and on Ilbe. Now, the point of bringing this all up is to go into their logo. And the logo is this. You can see it on the screen right now. I'm doing it right here. And this sign is to poke fun at the small penis size in Korea. Now, that's not a personal opinion of mine. Taking a look at the world averages, Korea does fall on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of penis size. That's not to say that everyone has a small penis. There are some guys here that are well endowed. Not that I'm looking, not that I care, not that I'm interested in that, but everyone's different. However, the average in South Korea is smaller than other parts in the world. So this sign here is to poke fun of the fact that Korean men have small penises. And I think that's kind of messed up. If you take a look at the things that make women attractive, it's mostly, looks and, age, which, is related to looks. And there are so many things women can do to kind of improve their looks. There's the obvious thing that there's makeup, there's fashion. However, in South Korea, plastic surgery is very commonplace. It's not only accepted, however, it's encouraged. So there are so many procedures that could make women more beautiful, make their face more beautiful, make their breasts larger, make their ass bigger. There's so many procedures available to increase the beauty of women, which is the attractive point that men find. However, when you take a look at the things that women find attractive about men, those things include height, money, power, and penis size. And most of those things cannot be changed. There's no procedure to make your dick bigger. There's no procedure to make you taller. Although that it is possible through hard work and studying that you are able to, increase your position in society, maybe get more money, gain more power. Those routes are a lot harder in Korea than they are compared to the West. In the US, it's possible to improve your place in society through hard work and studying. And in Korea, although it is possible, it is much more difficult. So kind of all of the things that women find attractive about men, they can't really be changed at all, or they can't be changed easily at all. So the fact, so making fun of, dick size is kind of a bitch move. Megalia is kind of a bitch move. So finally getting into today's story, I read an article in the Korea Times last week that kind of showed a poster for camping items that was controversial. Now the poster, as you see right here on the screen, says "Camping Kaja, let's go camping. Emotional camping must-have item." And we can kind of see this little hand going on and picking up this little sausage. Now when I first saw that and I heard that people were kind of upset about this, or very upset about this, it was a little bit, for me, it seemed like a bit of a stretch. Yeah, the hand side is kind of similar to the Megalia symbol. However, the Megalia had shut down a few years ago, and this is for, it's kind of weird that the little sausage is there, but okay, someone's going to pick up this tiny little sausage. So I didn't really fully understand. However, I spoke to people about this who were familiar with the issue, and they said that this is not the only poster that has this kind of symbol in it. So let's take a look at a couple more. Another thing I should note about that camping poster is when it was posted online, there was a lot of outcry from men activists saying that this was definitely a representation of Megalia and it should be removed immediately. Now, interestingly enough, when it was removed, a second image came up that did not have the hand or sausage. However, it had a little symbol at the bottom of the poster of a moon and some stars. Now, this looks like it was just pasted on top of it. There's really no reason for this to be there. I even thought that this might have been fake. However, this was, according to news sites, actually posted on the Instagram account. This little moon and stars looks almost exactly like another moon and stars, which is the Gwanak Yoseongjui Hakwae, or a feminist group located at Seoul National University, which is the most prestigious school in Korea. Gwanak is the little area within, not the little area, but the area in Seoul in which it's located. And as you can see here, this is their symbol, and it seems almost as if this was just plopped right onto the poster, where, it was posted on the ground. It wasn't like they hid the moon in the stars, in the sky, where it was kind of like, yeah, that might be there, but it's kind of a stretch. This was just pasted, purple and all, on the bottom of the poster where the ground is supposed to be. So this, once you take a look at this is very suspicious, and it kind of makes you think, what exactly is going on here? Is this really a coincidence with the hand and the sausage, or is this actually something that feminists are doing? Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of other posters that are quite controversial. This next one is for CU, which is a convenience store. If I didn't mention before, the last one was a convenience store called GS25. This is the convenience store CU. Now, when my friend first showed me this picture, it kind of just looks like, it's some sort of squishy snack where they're squeezing the snack to make a heart face, and she has some chip in her mouth, which is again another heart face. So it just looks like there are hearts here. So when I first saw this, I said, okay, come on, this is definitely has nothing to do with feminism and an attack on men. This is just being too sensitive. However, when you take a look at what context it is, which I didn't know at the time of having the conversation with my friend, which is this picture right here was posted on a WOMAD community. Now, what's WOMAD? Well, remember when I said that Megalia broke up because of some of their members were doing extreme things such as outing gay men? Well, those extremists, they left Megalia when it shut down, and they went ahead and created their own website called WOMAD. Now, WOMAD has done even crazier things than Megalia, including one of the members living in Australia, a 27-year-old woman a few years ago, sexually molesting a young Australian boy and posting it on WOMAD, and other people of the community commemorating it. Now, WOMAD, I'm not sure who gets credit for it, Megalia or WOMAD. However, another derogatory term for men is Hannam. Now, Hannam is a portmanteau of Hanguk, Namja, Hanguk being Korea, Namja being man. So Hannam, for some reason, that's just, bringing them together, abbreviating them, creating that portmanteau is somehow discriminatory against men, or that's the intention at least. And they went ahead and posted this picture that you see on your screen right now. This picture was uploaded on WOMAD shouting, Hannam should all die, and having them bite their tongues. The man on the left, he is none other than An Jung-gun, who was an independent activist in the early 20th century who assassinated Prince Ito Hirobumi in 1909. It was later executed. So he is kind of a hero in Korea for his fight for independence against Japan. And they took his picture, they stuck out his tongue and had him cry, and they said all Hannam should die. That's all Korean men should die. And this picture does in fact kind of look like the picture that slew is using here. Is it exactly the same? No. However, I can see some relations to it. Now we can see some more stuff from slew. This next one is someone picking up a little snack. This next one is here again picking up a little chicken radish that is eaten with chicken. However, it's a marshmallow, which is kind of, that sounds kind of nasty. But anyway, they're picking it up like this. These are kind of, what other shape can you make with your hand in order to pick up this little item that's not like this and still show it? If you grab it, you can't really see the snack. You'd have to pick it up with 2 fingers because that's the correct size. So are these actual signs kind of depicting Megalia's symbol and making fun of small penises? It's a bit of I can't... with all the other stuff, it's kind of a common theme, but it's kind of like, are we just going to go ahead and say that anything kind of moving your fingers in this way is going to be used? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Let's take a look at a couple of other ones. Here's a McDonald's ad of somebody holding a hamburger like this. Is it an awkward way to hold a hamburger? Yes. Have other people held things like this? Yes, they have as well. So it's not quite unique. Here's another convenience store, E-Mart, with some guy putting his hand up like this, pointing at the stars. But the way that his hand is, it kind of looks like he's doing this symbol. Here another one, we see someone, holding something and squishing the bread together. Here we have other ones of, holding little snacks. Here's one of somebody holding a piece of chicken. Here's another one with their hand next to the chicken. And here we have one holding a credit card. Now, when I look at these, it's really hard for me to see whether or not there's a relation. It is kind of weird that a lot of these hand symbols are coming up. However, is this enough evidence to say that this is a representation of the Megalia logo? I'm not quite sure. However, I do have some friends that are really into real equality, not this kind of feminist agenda of giving women more rights while, pushing men down. The people I know who are in favor of complete equality between men and women, that's equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. They say that these are a representation of Megalia's logo, and it is in fact discriminatory against men. And these companies have feminist designers, and they knew exactly what they were doing, and this is an attack on men. I'm not quite sure what to say about this. I'm like 50-50. Before, when I just saw the GS25 poster of the hand and the sausage, I believe that it was just people overreacting. Even the credit card was the second picture I saw. Is it an awkward hand, sign? Yes, it is, but I can see how, it could just be a coincidence. But after seeing a whole bunch of stuff related to this hand sign, it does look a little bit suspicious. However, I think that there are some people that are being a little bit sensitive to say that any time this hand symbol is used, especially when it would be an appropriate case, like picking up a little item like this, in order to show the brand logo. By the way, this company is not sponsoring me, so don't, if they'd like to, if this company of vape juice would like to sponsor me, I'm open to sponsorships. But, holding this up like this and, my hands eventually making this kind of symbol, Is this always related to Megalia and that symbol for small penises? I do not think so. I think that's an overreaction. However, we can say when something pops up enough and enough times that it is kind of suspicious, and it is something that is bringing attention to these companies, and people have gone as far as starting to boycott these convenience stores. There was a boycotting campaign for GS25, and if any other company kind of uses this hand symbol, there are calls online from men's rights websites to boycott that brand. Are people just being too sensitive? Are people kind of reacting to the same way that feminists are too sensitive, saying that things are sexist against female when they're not actually sexist? Or is this a legitimate complaint that people have, and does this hand gesture mimic the small penis? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you hate this video, if you think I'm very insensitive, disgusting, sexist, whatever, give me a thumbs down, unsubscribe, do whatever you guys have to do. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.